This is James Mathers at Cine Expo 2018. I'm here with Andrew Butler from Anton Bauer, and I know you have a new product that I want to find out about that, but I also want to get a little background on Anton Bauer and also find out what's going on with the industry in general and power. There's been a lot of change lately.
Yeah, there has, and a lot more to come, I think, so that's going to make some interesting conversation points.
So let's talk about airline safety.
Oh yeah, everyone's favorite topic. Yeah, let's talk about that. Yeah, lithium ion. I mean, it powers our whole industry. There are a few nickel metal products still out there. We have some. But most people are on lithium now, and the reason for that is energy density. In the same size package as this, which is 99 watt hours, in nickel you'd be lucky to get 50 watt hours. It's big, it's bulky, it's heavy, but it's very, very safe. So we continue to have the Hytron products for that reason. But with the IATA regulations regarding shipping lithium, you do have to bear in mind what you're doing.
And a certain volume you can't fly with too many batteries, and they can't be charged, or what's the latest?
It's quite intricate.
It's been changing.
It's quite intricate, but essentially there's one very fundamental rule, which is all of your lithium batteries have to come in the cabin of the aircraft with you. No lithium at all in the hold of a passenger aircraft. And if the batteries are under 100 watt hours per battery, and if they are reputable batteries with a UN 38.3 certification, IATA don't regulate the number you can carry. But, of course, the individual airlines may not want you carrying a backpack full of 100 batteries, just because of, it's a big, heavy thing. So, generally speaking, most airlines are comfortable with you having 10 or so batteries under 100 watt hours. If you go to a battery in the size class above, so under 160 watt hours but over 100, you're allowed essentially to take three: one on your piece of equipment, camera, lighting fixture, whatever, and two spares, again in the cabin. They do not need to be discharged.
So that was the case for a while, though, right?
Well, that's the case if you're shipping batteries as cargo.
Oh, I see. Okay.
If they're shipped as cargo, they ship as a Class 9 dangerous good. And then that gets really intricate as well with Section 1 and Section 2 variants. But essentially, they all need to be discharged at 30%. And you actually need to be certified to make that shipment and fill in a ton of dangerous goods paperwork. So it's a real burden on the industry and on rental houses in particular, who are obviously shipping batteries backwards and forwards all the time. And on individual users who are jumping on aircraft to execute their work, So we try and make it as simple as possible. We have, on these new products, a little sticker on the bottom, green with an aircraft, it's all sort of positive messaging. But what it really says is this has passed UN 38.3, it's a safe battery, and it alerts the TSA guy or whatever to the fact that they really should be letting this on the plane, because not everyone at every gate in every airport in the world is well educated on what the regulations are, and often people have their batteries taken away with no real just reason for that. So we try and make it as foolproof as possible. And then for shipping the product, we actually have a dedicated discharger, which is an unusual product. But when your production's wrapped, the last thing you want to be concerning yourself with is looking at battery status indicators and trying to run everything down to 30% by putting it on cameras or lighting fixtures or whatever. So we just produce this LPD. You clip 4 batteries on it, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. It just brings them all down safely to 30%. You can even lock it in a flight case, and it'll continue to do that. It will do it more slowly because it won't be able to discharge the heat. But it's a very safe way of bringing your batteries down, and it's very very good for the batteries too. It doesn't stress them in any way.
I bet you had to jump through a lot of hoops to get that little green sticker certification.
The certifications on batteries are really onerous. Yeah, we certify to UN 38.3, which is about 12 weeks of testing over a series of different drop tests and penetration tests and all kinds of horrible stuff they do to the battery. And we have a bunch of other certifications in addition to that, but that UN 38.3 is the critical one for shipping safety.
So tell me about the new battery. Comes in different mounts, and oh, whoops. Did you do that on purpose?
Yeah, I did that on purpose to show just how tough these new batteries are, James, yeah. It does. It comes in both V and gold mount. Anton Bauer obviously originated the gold mount. I think a lot of people still call it the AB mount. Mm-hmm. But in 2014, we started making batteries with a V mount on as well. That's really because gold mount is very much the market leader in the US and the Americas. But in Europe, V mount is much more prevalent. And we really wanted to be able to cater to those guys over there as well. You may be able to tell that I'm from that side of the Atlantic. So we made V-mount batteries. We didn't do a great job about telling people we made V-mount batteries, so it's kind of been our best kept secret. These are available V and Gold, available in 150 and 90 watt-hour classes. Although it says 90 on the front, this is actually a 99, just under that key 100 watt-hour size. And we manage that in the firmware. So the cells in here are actually very much more capable than that. And we use some clever IP in the firmware to keep it under that 100 watt-hours. And one of the side effects of that is we get extremely good longevity from these. So there's been a trend recently, I suppose, of miniaturization in batteries. And some of the very small 90 watt-hour batteries only use 8 cells. And that's great because you can package them much more tightly, and it's 2/3 the cost because you're not using 12 cells. But they really do suffer from shorter lifetimes. And that's a factor of the strain only being shared across 8 cells, not 12. But also, to get 8 cells to produce 90 watt-hours, you actually have to use a different type of cell. And that type of cell isn't designed to deliver power like this industry consumes power. So we build our 12-cell 90, always have done, and they've always lasted about 1,000 cycles. Yeah. This one lasts way longer. Oh. We haven't actually killed one yet. So the very first one we built, we put on test, and we cycle it up and down on a great big machine the size of a refrigerator that monitors and does these things. And we've had it on there for about 2 years, and it's still alive, and it's way over 1,000.
Now, we're powering our cameras with them right now, but are they available for purchase?
Yes, they are, yeah. Again, we've part of the whole makeover of Anton Bauer is making sure we don't do things that are going to infuriate people. And launching a great product that everyone wants to get their hands on, and then they have a backorder situation or they can't go into a store and buy one for 6 months is infuriating. So we actually worked with our dealers and with our key accounts. So for the last month, we've been shipping these things into places and just asking them very nicely not to sell them. And then yesterday we flicked the switch and they went on sale. So you could walk into a store in New York City today and go and buy one. You could walk into a store in Munich and go and buy one. So yeah.
So we got a scoop here.
You got a scoop.
Now, I see that there's a P-mount right on the...
Yeah, P-tap and
P-tap.
also a USB.
Yeah. Oh, so you could charge your phone.
You can. You get about 20 charges out of one of these on a phone, so it's a really good power bank. We did also, as a little giveaway for these, make a miniature version of this, which is a regular power bank for your phone where you just get one. So if you're seeing this and you want to come by the stand, come and get a power bank.
Now, on the V-mount, I noticed there's a lot more connections. Is there electronic information going through there compared to the Gold mount?
There is. It's not more information, it's just a different way of communicating. So on the Gold mount, we actually have 4 pins. We have the 2 power pins, and then we have a digital communication pin, and
that's right.
And an analog communication pin, which is just a reflection of the battery's voltage, which allows simple devices to have some fuel gauging on them. The digital communications is very sophisticated. Most cameras now use the digital side. The V-mount's similar, but they don't have the analog, I don't think. So we have the 2 power pins on here and then some communications pins.
So you can read in the camera how much duration you have left?
Exactly, yeah.
Plus, what kind of readouts do you get on the side there?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. So Anton Bauer batteries, we've always had quite a sophisticated display that shows percentage when the battery is just in your hand.
Let's show the camera.
So it's saying 100% right now. If I clip this onto a camera, it would go to an hours and minutes runtime clock.
Oh.
If you don't like seeing the runtime clock, on the old batteries, that was kind of tough. On these, you just touch the capacitive touch sensor under the logo here, and it will revert back to percentage.
Oh, nice.
Also, if you touch it, it backlights. So that's if you want to disable the backlight, you can. There's a combination of touches to do that. And also, if you triple tap, I don't know if you can see this in the camera, you go into a diagnostic mode.
Oh.
So you can display pack voltage, how many amps are being pulled from the battery right now, what wattage that equates to, firmware rev, and we can build in all kinds of different fields into that diagnostic mode. So we're really looking to see what users want to know from their battery, and we can release firmware to allow them to do that. And the firmware in these batteries can be updated by the user very simply, so it's not a stressful back to the factory kind of firmware update situation.
How about the chargers? I have a legacy of Anton Bauer chargers and batteries. Will my chargers work with these?
Yeah. If your chargers worked with the Cine series or the digital series, then it will work with these. Prior to those series, we actually had a different architecture. So in days of old, all of the data about how the battery should be charged was stored on a chip in the charger, which was kind of inconvenient when you launched a new battery because you had to update every charger out there. In 2013, we changed that architecture so that the intelligence is in the battery. So you put the battery on the charger and it basically tells the charger how it likes to be charged. It's one of the sort of Anton Bauer things that our charging is very, very carefully managed. And it optimizes battery performance and battery health, so there's a lot of communication going on. But these follow that architecture where all of the intelligence is in the battery, so you can clip them onto any charger that's compatible with that generation of architecture, and away you go.
Well, I know in my Quad 2000 charger, when the Dionics came out, I was just able to get a little chip and actually pop it into the circuit board myself.
Exactly.
Is that going to be possible with these?
Yeah, if you've already done that once, you won't need to do it again.
Okay.
If you have an old charger where you're using something from sort of the early 2000s in terms of your battery, and they really do last.
Prehistoric age?
Yeah. It's in battery terms, that's prehistoric. But they're still out there. You know, people are still using Anton Bauers from 2002, 2003. Those chargers would need a chip to update, and if you contact our service department, they can just give you the part number for which chip it is, sell you the chip. They're like $60, and you can plug it in yourself.
Like a brand new charger.
Yep.
Okay, that's great. Anything else you wanted to tell us about Anton Bauer, the batteries?
We got a few things up our sleeves, which over the
still secret.
Yeah.
Okay.
We like to keep it as close to our chest as we can until we're actually ready to sell them, to avoid that thing where, as I say, people go, well, that's a great idea, when can I get it? And I'm like, well, a year. So, yeah, we've got from now until sort of the end of 2019, we've got a really intensive program of new product releases. So there's a lot happening in the industry with power, and those product releases are going to cater to it. One of those things is higher voltage. So we've been on 14.4 volts in broadcast for a very, very long time. Cine, of course, originally was a 24, 28 volt standard with also some 12 volt stuff going on. I don't know if you remember the Sony Cine outer connector, which was dual voltage, so they were a pain. But actually, the Cine industry is moving back towards a higher voltage again, and that's because the cameras now are so sophisticated and so powerful that they consume more power than it's easy to distribute by 14.4 volts, because the current goes up so high. And when you've got high current, everything gets bigger and heavier and hotter, and you really just don't want that. So I think we're going to see a new wave of cameras. We've already seen the LF, the Arri LF, which requires greater than 19.5 volts. And I think a lot of cameras and a lot of big LED fixtures are going to go that way, so we're going to see a higher voltage segment come into the market as well.
So powering LED lights is a big part of the reason for going to higher voltage.
It is. LED lights are getting bigger. Our sister company, Light Panels, has the Astro, which is the 1x1. That's 110 watts. So when you've got a 14.4 volt battery and it's getting down towards discharged, the voltage in there is about 12 volts. So you're actually pulling nearly 10 amps out of the battery to keep that fixture fully illuminated. A lot of batteries out there can't sustain that. And what will happen is the fixture will just go out. And then you look at the battery, and the battery doesn't appear to be fully discharged. So it can be confusing. These are 12 amp rated, so that's never a problem. But of course, Light Panels then have to come out with something more powerful, right? So they've come out with the Gemini, which is a 2x1. That's about a 300 watt fixture, and you really can't power that with a 14.4 volt battery. You can power it very well from our VCLX, which is the big blue thing that sits on the floor, but it's less mobile that way. Yeah. So in an ideal world, we'd have something with the mobility of this and the ability to deliver 300 watts into an Arri LF camera or a Light Panels Gemini.
Next year. Thank you so much, Andrew.
My pleasure.